Hey guys, welcome back to DMAT Customs. Today back on the Area 51 project, looking at setting up the bracketry for the brake booster, master cylinder, pedal blocks assembly, maybe the gas pedal as well. Show you what I got planned. Hopefully it works. Last weekend I went on a hillbilly foraging expedition out to pick apart in Tauranga and looking for brake pedal assembly and booster master cylinder options for the old Area 51. And I had kind of something in mind that I know should be good because I've owned those types of cars before and the brakes have always been reasonably, they worked. So I found a VZ Holden Commodore, which is a Australian car. Don't make them anymore, but American equivalents like a Pontiac. They released them in America as a Pontiac something or other. They did release the earlier VUs as a Pontiac GTO, which still seem to have quite a good following over in America and here too. Well, over here they're a Monaro, and in Australia they're a Monaro as well, Holden Monaro. Anyway, I went on the scrounge looking for a booster and master cylinder system and pedal assembly, brake pedal assembly, and so this is what I come home with: brake pedal assembly out of a VZ Holden Commodore, and master cylinder and booster out of the same VZ Holden Commodore. Mounting, firewall mounted. I did look at other under-dash options. I have already been hillbilly foraging up pick apart and came home with a pedal assembly out of a van to try and get the master cylinder and booster all up under the dash. It was just too big. I don't have enough depth in the dash on this car to use that system. The master cylinder wanted to stick out the hole where the speedo gauge wants to go, so can't do that. Anyway, that's on the floor over there. If you know anyone who wants a booster and master cylinder and pedal assembly out of a, I think it's a 1989 or 88 Toyota Super Custom van, I've got one if you need it. Anyway, so I'm not going underfloor either, because although there's lots of aftermarket options out of America to do that with this model of car, on the Fleetlines and early 50s Chevs and stuff, we have a certification system here in New Zealand which says we can't have any welded brake parts unless they're factory OEM welded. But you can bolt shit together as much as you like. It's really weird. Anyway, some of those underfloor assemblies and that, they got too much sort of welded componentry in the pedal assembly and stuff like that, and you end up having to get everything x-rayed and all sorts of crap to get the vehicle certified to go back on the road. I tend to try and stick with something that's you can tell the certifier this is from this car, this is from this car, this is from this car, so it's kind of cobbled together out of other cars. Make sense? Hope so. I'm going firewall mounted. Some ways I prefer it because it's kind of easier to access for bleeding and checking your fluids. If it's hidden away under there, the odds of you actually checking your brake fluid on odds of me doing it are fairly low. Like if it was under the floor, I'd probably do it. I'd ask, once every 6 months or something. Whereas if it's visible, I'm more likely to go and check it out sooner. Anyway, so getting off task on that again. I've already kind of mocked up this through the firewall, bolted it all in place, and had to figure out a way to tie the front of the pedal assembly to the front of the dash, or the rear under the dash somehow to secure it, stop it going flexy and stuff like that. And also I needed to set this further into the engine bay ever so slightly to bring the pedal height down. As it sat hard up on the firewall, it was the pedal was like off the floor and it was just hard to reach anyway. So I actually started filming stuff for this last week, mocking up all my templates and pedal assembly and stuff like that, but I deleted it all by accident. I realized about half a second after I'd pushed the button to format the SD card, but it is what it is, so you probably didn't miss much. So I had to set about doing some arts and crafts with some bits of beer box cardboard again, of some pieces that I needed to get made. Anyway, needed to get some that I'm going to now fold up with my Harry Flash new press brake on my hydraulic press. Check it out, DMAC Customs YouTube sticker. This is my template as well, so this is where I'm cutting through to mount my pedal assembly. You're probably thinking it's awfully far that way, but a lot of them I've seen on the line are like that, and therefore aftermarket pedal assemblies and stuff like that. But I'm not using that, I'm using this VZ Commodore piece of kit here. So I need it that way slightly, and I need it to come back slightly to allow for pedal travel or something like that anyway, to make it comfortable. This little piece here of my project is going to go something like that and bolt down onto the U-bolt column dropper thing that holds the column in place, and these bits here come out here and are going to get welded onto this piece here, which ends up on there, sort of thing. So what I've got to do is get all these cut out of steel. This is going to be 5mm, 3mm, 3mm, and I need a spacer plate to have on the outside, the firewall side, to push that slightly that way, just to bring the pedal down slightly in the cabin of the car. Let's quickly just get these sorted out and cut some plate. Ta-da! That was quick, eh? I actually just picked these up yesterday from a buddy who owns a CNC plasma cutter, flatbed thing. They do commercial profile cutting and stuff like that, and I'm fortunate enough that I can design my files myself and just email them through, tell them what I want, how many, and they just cut them out for me because they owe me favours. Anyway, so what I did was design my parts on the bits of cardboard, and then scanned my bits of cardboard and this piece just on a flatbed scanner, and then I reconstruct them in the software I use. Sometimes it's Adobe Illustrator, sometimes it's I'm actually using SignCut Pro, which is a plotter running software. I even printed them out just to make sure everything lined up where it's supposed to. So there we go. So next step for this is I'm gonna weld this spacer onto here just to secure it. It doesn't have to be like fully welded all the way around, I guess. Maybe just it'll be clamped in place anyway, so I'll start off with doing that, and then I can put this back up onto the firewall and then start putting the pedal back in, do all my folds that have to be folded on this part, and work out where it's going to be welded to that part and what needs to be trimmed and if it's even going to work. So might start welding that little spacer on. Thought I'd better just squirt a little bit of etch primer in on the two faces that are going to be attached, just so if any moisture in that gets down and behind it, it doesn't, you know, like start rusting and then running down the thing, unless I welded it all the way home, but nah. But yeah, so just a little bit of etch in there just to protect it. See? So got my little spacer plate tacked on. She's still quite hot, so I won't hold it up for long, but as you can see, there's a nut and bolt through there. I did have another one in there as well, and I just used that to locate the holes and get everything nice and centered. So it's still really hot, so I'll put that down. And while I'm waiting for that to cool off, I might start tattooing around with this other little bracket, figuring out how I'm going to fold it in my press brake. So I'm going to start kind of roughing in my folds for this top bracket while I'm waiting for the firewall plate to cool down enough that I don't catch fire or burn myself even with my grip gloves on. I'm going to use my Harry Flash new press brake that I made. Hopefully you'll see that video before this. I'm just going to bolt the pedal assembly back in before I continue bending and beating on this piece of metal, so then I can get a better idea whether my cardboard template is even remotely going to work to make, you know, from then converting that into a steel piece. Yeah, gonna bolt this pedal thing in and then bolt this top plate on. I should probably bolt the top plate on before I bolt the pedal assembly in, because it'd be heaps easier to do it on the bench than it would upside down under the car. I'll do that. There's my new plate bolted in place with its little spacery reinforcing thing. So I was just going to bolt the pedal assembly in, but I'm going to put the whole booster assembly and that in as well, just to reaffirm that what I'm trying to do is actually going to work. This is tricky with doing it by yourself, because there's no one to kind of hold it up there for you. That's what the bungee's for. See all last week's template making residue left behind. So just get that out of the way. Has to go. I have to do this, put the pedal up first and then the booster. Heavens for Betsy. Oh well, how did I do it last time? I can't remember. No, I have to go the other way. That's balance that there for a minute. I don't condone hammering with a ratchet and socket, but I won't talk about that. How does this work again? Come on, oh there we go. Little clippage, sorted. Oh, my new hat, that's too small. Unfortunately, absurdly large craniums are something that runs in my family. Ozzy successfully removed. As you might have noticed, I kind of screwed up this gas pedal last week as well. It's just got a couple of little PK, actually probably wood screws holding it to the firewall at the moment. I might put it on a slight little pedestal just to bring it a bit further out in line with the old breakage pedal. Maybe might not need much. I'll do some test sitting and pretend driving in that in a little bit just to figure it out. But anyway, back to the task at hand. That bracket that I've been pissing around with, showing you before, this is going to come from up here down onto, I don't know if you can see them, but these two pieces here. This thing on? Yeah. So that's what I've got to kind of do, a very complex scientifical fold, so then I can work out where to weld it onto there, and then it'll come down and sit on top of those, clearing the brake light switches and lock up switch and stuff like that. That's the plan. We'll get back to grabbing that piece and seeing if I can make it fit. So after getting all excited about modifying my shop press to fold all this sort of stuff, didn't even consider once I'd folded some of the main parts I wasn't going to be able to get that shop press in there to fold the bits I wanted to fold other than the first couple bits. So what I've got to do is fold these tabs out 90 degrees that way. So back to the old hammer and little baby vise again. So I could use a spanner and some leverage or something. Give it a try. And maybe just finish it off with the hammer. Well, that's about as far as I can get it to go with that, and it actually worked quite well. If anyone else remembers Steve Austin, you get that the old $6 million man. No, don't remember him. The noise plays in my head whenever I do stuff like that. So I'll just move this camera. So I'm going to start whacking the bench. You guys will get knocked around. There's that. You see? Kind of worked. Now what I've got to do is measure the distance between those two studs on the column dropper thing, the U voltage thing. Mark out some holes in here, drill these, and then I can at least sit that down on there and start working out the rest of it. So .58mm centre. Just got to punch those holes, drill them, then go and try and, careful now, try and fit that into, start fitting this into place. This one here pretty much stays straight, I think. May have to come out a little bit of it in there just to maybe give it a little bit more strength. And then this one, I'm thinking is, well, everything goes to plan, is just going to like have a bit of a tip it back this way a little bit, and then it should all just into place, and I can sort of mark it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to tack it in there. Might be able to. Be a pretty ugly tack. Might be able to do it. So drill some holes. Centre punch. So I'm going to do. I'm going to sharpen this centre punch. That. I got this off Wish again. I think I've got a problem. It just came up like just pay the shipping, and so I did, and it cost me like $3, and it's not very good. About every third push, it seems to give a decent enough click to kind of put some kind of little very tiny thing in there. Hopefully you saw that and not just a big blurry thing. Right, pilot hole. That drill bit's a little bit blunt, so I embarrass myself and try and sharpen it. Actually kind of worked. How big a holes do I want? Millish. Should have my safety spectacles on. Just gonna see if it'll fit. Okay, now we're getting into the serious stuff. I'm probably gonna need a pen for doing marks. Might need this because I might need to drop that column dropper bolty thing back down again. I've got my bracketry kind of bolted down on the column dropper, if you can see down in there, and it sits up on top. My template wasn't far wrong actually, and I might be able to get the MIG torch in there and give it a bit of a tack so I can kind of hold it in place and then pull it all out and weld that particular bracket onto that top plate. And then over here, is there a gap there? This one here, bend a bit further out and then kick it back so it's a bit more squared off. Like put another bend in it right about there, and then another one further back. I think that's going to work. But then do I need these braces here that come on back to the old column dropper thing as well, if I'm going to have the firewall tied to the dash with this bracketry and the pedal assembly, because these diagonal brackets are kind of in the way. Okay, got those little pieces tacked in as you probably saw. Now I've just got to unbolt everything again and take it all back out, and I can weld up that bracket properly, and then that's my brake pedal, booster, master cylinder mount pretty much done, other than painting all the parts and making everything look pretty. Get it back on the bench for you to have a look. GoPro, stop recording. Well, this is my end result, my little bracket that ties my ties my steering column dropper thing to my pedal box, and will brace up my pedal assembly. I even welded some nuts on there to make it easier, and yeah, they are nylock nuts, and the nylock isn't there anymore, but it's okay. I'll put some spring washers on the other side. So got she's all bolted back in now, so I'll get down in here and let you have a look. This the bracket ties this to this. Seems to work alright. Seems to be nice and secure. I can't see the firewall flexing or anything as I
push on the hang on the pedal. There's no resistance on there obviously, but I'm not sure about my accelerator pedal placement though. I think it needs to come a little bit closer. I moved it over just to here into around about there. But anyway, I'll leave it at that for this. Probably look like a gore with that big LED light there. I'll leave it at that for this little project for now. It'll all be coming out again at some point to paint it and pre it up and whatnot. Still gonna muck around with that accelerator pedal placement. Not 100% sold on that yet. Don't even really like the pedal that much. It's kind of a bit, you know, they sell these at Summit and stuff, eh? But this is, I don't know, it's a bit wiggly and kind of cheap looking. But I don't know, it might be alright. Might paint it black. It might make me feel better. Well, guys, thanks for watching again. If you get this far, I don't think many people get this far, but anyway, thanks for watching if you did get this far. My little process of how I managed to make a bracket and a plate for the firewall was pretty straightforward stuff. Kind of confusing planning it, but once it comes to making it, kind of comes together, but kind of nice-ish. But yeah, like I say, thanks for watching and making it all the way to the end of another one. Good. Appreciate it. And if it's your first time here, it'd be real cool if you could hit the subscribe button, and also if you want notifications, there's a little bell. You can click on that, and don't forget, subscriptions are free. It just lets you know when there's a new video coming out if it interests you. Till next time, take it easy. Peace. Boosters, master cylinders, pedal box assembly. I just can't talk today. Pedal box thing, mounting brackets and such under the dash. So we'll give it a crack and see how we get on.